welcome back, comic book collectors and enthusiasts. My name is Brandon, and you're watching M.O.N.Comics. Hey, welcome back, everyone. I am on the road again. It is May 6th. I am going to Free Comic Book Day. I'm actually taking my daughter to a comic book store for her first time. We're going to Ravenswood Comics, which is located in Utica, New York. I'll put the address down in the description to get a free comic book and check out what they have for run fillers and also wall books. So stay tuned. All right, so I'm back in the Creation Station, returning from Ravenswood Comics in Utica, New York. I will put the address down in the description. They have been in business for 40 years. They have been at that location for 22, and the person who currently owns it, whose name is Al, has owned it since last year. And he has a manager. His name is Nabil. Sorry if I'm butchering it, man. I'm trying the best I can. I was pretty busy that day when you introduced yourself to me. Like any good creator, when I go to places, the few times I do, I always go in and ask if they mind if I film. And from the minute I went in and gave Al my business card, he was super receptive and really awesome about it. I told him where I'm from, what I do, and he was all about it. And I said, I have my daughter in the car. And he's like, oh yeah, bring her in. This is great, you know. And they had bowls of candies out for the kids and a bunch of different tables and lollipops, which my daughter loves candy, whose kid doesn't. And they had about 8 different comics for the kids to choose from. And then they also they let her pick 3 of the 8. So she picked Investigators, which is a really cool, I'll put a picture of all her haul up here, of alligators that are detectives. And of course, she's watched some of the Spidey and His Amazing Friends. So she gravitated right towards that. So she got to pick 3 books. She got a little art print, and then they were really kind and gave her this huge oversized Spider-Man coloring book. Not only were Al and Nabil working the shop, but he had some great volunteers handing out raffle tickets for door prizes, and he had people handing out the comics, and everyone was super cool, made the day really fun. So I brought my daughter in, and she had a blast. As a father who's hoping that his daughters or kids might share in the same passions that I do, it was really a trip to see her running around and saying, Daddy, Spider-Man, Hulk, Iron Man, Black Panther. It was just like a highlight of my young parenting life so far. So it was very cool. I can't wait to go back. Thank you to the staff at Ravenswood Comics for making a really special day. We had an absolute blast. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what I got for books. Before I do, if you wouldn't mind, if you're not subscribed to the channel already, if you could go down and hit subscribe and hit the like button. Just a quick reminder, I'm like 14 subscribers away from a giveaway, and I'll be giving away this Daredevil 184 CGC 9.0 classic Klaus Janson and Frank Miller book. So please, if you want to be entered in that, go down and hit subscribe. And when I hit the 400 subscribers, I'll be sure to give details on how you can enter to win this. So that'll be awesome. So without further ado, let's get to the haul. So they had a series of the Free Comic Book Day books out for people to choose from. And they also had some other books that must have been back stock. I don't know. But this is the book I gravitated towards and picked because the trade dress is in the vein of Tales from the Crypt or Pre-Code Horror. It's Tales from the Holidays. And as you can see, it's got Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, a leprechaun. This is Mother Earth and Arbor Day. I have not read this yet. I haven't gotten a chance to, but it looked really cool. I'm someone who's not going after FOMO of like, oh, I got to get that Spider-Man or that Venom or Avengers book. I gravitate towards what I like always. And I saw this and I was like, I got to have it. That's really cool. So this is the book I picked out for Free Comic Book Day. I have thumbed through it. There's some awesome artwork in this and I can't read it. So thanks to Ravenswood Comics for hooking me up with this. The first book I picked up from the back stock. Now they had a great specials going on. It was 25% off all back stock and wall books. And you could see in the footage before, they had a bunch of like lower tier wall books of, anywhere from $10 to $40. And then behind the counter, they had some more expensive wall books. So they had some really good deals going on. This first book I got, I wasn't sure if I wanted to show it because it is a pretty provocative, sensitive image. But I feel if we acknowledge it, that it was from a different time, this is from 40 years ago. There's also comic covers that have Nazi paraphernalia or symbols on them too, and they are a part of history. And just acknowledge that we've moved past this, and that this isn't being created in comic books anymore. But I thought I wanted to show it. I'm a Black Panther fan, and you could see right away he is fighting a Klansman there who is named the Soul Strangler. So this is Marvel Premiere 53 from 1980. It's the final issue of the Black Panther in the Marvel Premiere, and he fights the Soul Strangler. I haven't read it yet, but again, this could be sensitive to some people. I acknowledge that. It's not something that would come out today, and it shouldn't. But it is a piece of comic history, and I'm a Black Panther fan, and Black Panther beats him up anyways pretty good. So happy to add that one to my collection. The next book is a title I don't have any of in my collection, but I do now, and I'm really happy to add it. I'm a fan of this character, not so much that I go nuts about it. It is Superman 183. So I grew up in the 80s and 90s. My Superman was Christopher Reeve. I remember as a kid watching those movies, how amazed I was that he was flying, and for the time it looked really good. And, when he fought Zod and his crew, they came out of the Phantom Zone, and how he tricked them, that was very comic book-esque. And this has a story in it that reminded me of that, too. But this is Superman 183 from 1960. The first story of Titano the Super Ape was written by Otto Binder, and the cover art was by Kurt Swan and Stan Kay. And there's a couple stories in here. The other story is Superman's Black Magic, which was written by Jerry Siegel, which we all know is co-creator of Superman. So this one was really cool. Titano the Ape has kryptonite vision, and Superman has to don this lead suit to beat him, and he sends him back through a time portal to a time he placed him in before, which is really cool. But the more interesting story was the second one. It was Superman's Black Magic, and what happens is there's a costume party at the Daily Bugle, or Daily Planet, sorry, wrong comic book. There's a costume party at the Daily Planet, and Superman is dressed as, he doesn't know, he goes as Satan. Superman's dressed as Satan. So he overhears with his super hearing some criminals talking about a heist they want to pull off. And he gets this notion that, he might be able to take advantage of this opportunity. So he uses some of his superpowers and some trickery, and he convinces them that he is the actual devil, and then he can help them obtain riches beyond their wildest imagination. And then they need to hide from, they need to find a hideout, and Superman says he's taking them to hell as Satan. And he says he can get him back out of hell, but they've got to confess in written confessions about all their crimes, and then he reveals himself as Superman. So that reminded me of Superman 2, where he tricks them into thinking that he's losing his powers, but they really are. Just a really cool story, but this is a Silver Age comic. I don't have any Superman at all, so I'm happy to add this title, and the cover really jumped out to me. They even acknowledge, King Kong was only a make-believe gorilla menace, but Titano is real, and his kryptonite vision prevents me from capturing him. So they acknowledge the important relevance of King Kong in pop culture. So I saw that, had to have it, Superman 183. The next book I picked up, I only have one other title of, so I figured I'd add to my collection. It is Submariner 29 from 1970, written by Roy Thomas, who's about to do a signing at CGC, and cover art by Frank Giacola, Artie Simek, and Sal Buscema. And it's not a key or anything, it's just Namor taking on Hercules. So a very cool book. I just saw it, and I was like, it was like $2, so I was like, I'll add this to collection. And as a quick side note, I forgot to mention with this book, this cover art was done by Frank Miller. The last book I picked up is one I've wanted for some time, simply because of the cover art, but now I can read it. It is Marvel and DC Presents #1 from 1980, written by the great Chris Claremont and cover art by Walt Simonson and Terry Austin. And it's the start of the Apocalypse Now storyline. This is the 4th DC and Marvel crossover that has been done at this point. I love the Phoenix's teeth. She looks very demonic. But the Phoenix is in this, Darkseid's in it. I have not had a chance to read it, but I've seen other people with this comic, and I've seen it online. I just never pulled the trigger, and I had it in front of me, and it's in really great shape for being a bigger, thicker book. So very good condition. I'd say definitely like VF plus near mint. So yeah, I can't wait to read this book, and I've always wanted it, so now I'm adding it to the collection. So thanks for following me to Free Comic Book Day. I had a blast. My daughter had a blast. She won't stop talking about it. It was very surreal to get those comics and then come home and read her Spidey and His Amazing Friends and The Investigators. And then we did some coloring in her Superman coloring book. So it is what I hope is the beginning of many more trips that we'll take to comic book shops and on adventures. So thanks everyone for watching. I hope you all have a great, safe weekend. I appreciate the love and support. It means so much to me. I love comments. If you guys would mind leaving me a comment, I love interacting with you all and talking about comics. So please do so. Have a great weekend. Keep reading those comics. See you next time.